the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. And life sucks all of the time, so stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of The Crazy Life. I'm Brian, joining me as usual, Henno.
Practically on time.
I know, right? What's this about?
Right? You go back to back in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah. You know what's funny though is I almost forgot to post the last one because after we got done,
Did you really?
I went. I told you I was going to go eat, so I went out and ate, and then I sat down and started watching TV. Totally forgot because I was like, well, I'll sit here and watch a show while I'm eating, making my food and eating, and then I just kept watching whatever show it was. Oh, it was Twin Peaks. That's what it was. So because I had never seen Twin Peaks, so I was going through my binge of that. And and then the next day I was doing something else, or I think it was, and then finally I'm like, oh, I got to post that podcast. So I was like, dang it. I got to remember if I step away, I got to write myself like a big fat note and put it on my desk. That way when if I come back, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to do this.
I still ignore those.
I do too. I have tons of notes on my desk, right? Actually, I was just thinking, I need to go through them because I'm sure a lot of these are no longer relevant.
Yeah, that's the thing I find is typically I'll be going through the to-do list. I'm like, all right, this is already done. Sweet.
Yeah.
One less piece of paper cluttering up the space.
Exactly. Like right now I'm looking at, I mean, I can see probably 15 notes, no question. And some of them I can already, reading a couple things on them, I can, or what I need to do is like take the one thing off of this, like just start another list, and pull 3 or 4 things off these others, and then I can throw those papers away. Just consolidate a little bit.
How's life?
It's been all right. It's been nice that since I changed my prescription on my antidepressant, that the suicidal thoughts have really kind of gone by the wayside. So
good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal.
And I don't know for sure if it's that or if it's just whatever, but whatever it is, I'm not having those thoughts currently, which is great because that's not something, I want. So I actually,
what they switch you to?
Cymbalta is what I'm on now.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah.
The downside is I'm on the highest dose, so there's no going up from here. So if I feel like it doesn't work, it's either back to the one I was on before or move to something else. But so far it seems to be working pretty well by going to the next dose up, which is good. It's also helped, I'm sure, that I've been, like my roommate, when he goes outside to smoke, a lot of times I'll go outside and talk to him. So, but I stay up on the porch and he stands down in there's like a parking area in front of our house, and he'll stand down there because he knows I don't really want to inhale the smoke. So he does that, to be courteous. And, over the last week, I've been doing that more. Well, not the last couple days because, he's out of town currently. So I'm back to living by myself. Woo! Whatever. It's
leaving the toilet seat up.
Oh, man. Yep. We're both guys, so it really is. It doesn't. It's funny because I'm actually a toilet seat down guy. Because I grew up with sisters. I grew up with a mom, so it was very much like you better put that seat down, But and also I'm a bit of a germaphobe, so the idea of allowing whatever's in the toilet to just be expelled throughout the room is not a okay thing to me. So I tend to put the lids down.
So Dude, my mom and I just had this conversation
Yeah.
when I was over at her house last time because I've gotten into the habit of doing that at work
Yeah.
because, uh, it wasn't because of COVID, but it's like, you're
Yeah.
discussing about germs and the one that mainly is so at my, it's mostly the commercial flushers.
Yeah.
Like they vaporize.
They do,
Like
yeah.
they seriously
Yeah.
vaporize. And there are no lids on those.
Right.
Like there's no toilet seats,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I was reading about that and I was like, oh. And I never thought about it that you're basically swirling up water.
Yeah.
And so I started doing it at work where I just put the lid down and then I flush.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And so my mom, being someone that's living at home by herself,
Yeah.
is used to walking into her bathroom and having a steam.
Yeah.
Well, I'm putting the lid down
Yeah.
every time. And she's like, why do you do that? Like, why? Like, because it's the opposite of, most men is they leave it up all the time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's just a habit I got into out of work because of a hygiene thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like just shooting that into the air.
Right.
everywhere.
Well, that's the thing is I've had people go, well, yeah, but then it shoots it onto the lid, and if you sit on the toilet, I'm like, I don't sit all the way back on the toilet. So
then if you lean back,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
I'm like, the other side of that is I'm like, I ain't worried about that because that's on the back of my shirt.
True. I'm not saying, yeah.
I was like,
All right, there's pros and cons. Fine.
Yeah, like I'm generally not touching my back. Most people are not touching my back, so I feel like that's safer. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I need somebody who's a specialist in germs to fully. But I've seen different things that talk about how that expels a lot into the air. Kind of like in a public bathroom, right? Like you do that, it expels it in the air. You wash your hands, you go over to the dryer, you turn the dryer on, and that just keeps things moving through the air. Yeah, right. And it's like, that's where surfaces can get coated with, other stuff, not just people touching, because it's like with your hand washing, it's like I'm not as worried about that because, I tend to use like my wrist to turn the water back off if it's not an automatic one. And, but it's the idea. The other thing is like I hate the automatic dryers because of the noise level of them. Like they've always bothered me because of my sensory issues. But then, was it a year or two ago, seeing that like, exposure to those can cause hearing damage because they're so loud, like especially the new ones. Those like those Dyson ones that are like a jet engine in the bathroom, those can cause, hearing damage across time. Now, you probably have to be in the bathroom a lot or use them all multiple times a day kind of thing, which I'm generally not, because I'm in Target. I'm only using the bathroom once generally, unless it's a real bad day. But it's like I said, I hate them because they literally hurt my ears. So I hate using them. So anytime there's a paper towel option or something like that, I'd rather do that. But it's just funny because I've had conversations with people about the germ part of it because they're like, why do you, like, you're a guy, why are you putting the lid down? And I'm like, because I don't want that spread. Like in my bathroom, the toilet's right next to the sink. The sink is where I keep my toothbrush and my toothpaste. There's a cover over my toothbrush, but still, that's why I don't really want all that spraying everywhere in the bathroom. That's why I'd rather put that lid down, So I was like, if you don't, I'm not mad about it. I look before I sit, I always have, so.
How'd we end up with another episode of Poop Corner?
I don't know. I didn't even go see my doctor this time. Jeez. Anywho, but yeah, I don't even know how I got here.
How's the GLP-1 thing going?
It's rough, man. Like I'm on a low dose, so it's kind of funny because I'm getting a little of the benefit, but all the downside, or a lot of the downside. Like I have to, like they tell you, a lot of people that are on those need to up their fiber and their protein because they're seeing that longer exposure to them may be causing bone density issues. So you need to make sure you're eating protein to help build, whatever. And also, like the first thing that is being pulled away from people in these with these is muscle. And I was like, oh no, I didn't think about that because, as a person who's going to be 48 in a few months, like as you age, you don't produce muscle like you do. You lose muscle typically. So it's like, oh, that's something I need to be concerned about a little bit. And it explains why a doctor friend of mine was, again, we're not doctors, specialists, blah, blah, blah. Anything you hear here is for entertainment purposes only. But she told me to make sure that I do some working out of some sort, lift a little bit of weights, stuff like that to try to make sure that you don't get, significant muscle loss. Again, I'm on the lowest dose, so I don't think it's as big of a deal to me, but it's still the idea that it could be part of why people see such a weight difference though, right? Muscle weighs more.
Yeah.
If you lose muscle first, you're going to see significant decline in weight. So maybe that's the part. But anyway, yeah, I've had a lot of the stomach issues with it, which really suck, and digestive issues. And it's like, I don't know. It's like part of me wants to see if my doctor will up me one so I can get a little more of the benefit, but I also don't want to go through, because I've read that each time you go up, you basically can go through the wicked side effects again.
Another round.
Yeah, and that was so bad that first time. I really don't want to go through that again.
Dude, I was reading the story about what's her name from Mayim Bialik. How do you pronounce her name?
Mayim Bialik or Bialik.
Bialik.
Yeah.
That's
Blossom for
whatever
most
her
people.
name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blossom, exactly.
I don't know her character on wow, I'm blanking. Big Bang Theory. I don't know her character on
Big
this,
Bang
so
Theory,
I can't reference that. But
she's Blossom. Floppy hat, Blossom.
Mm-hmm.
So she evidently she's had all sorts of what is it, like inflammation issues.
Yeah.
She's had some of those type of diseases, like stuff going back decades.
Yeah.
And they'd suggested, because they're starting to find like all these interesting benefits, there's this, the GLP-1s are starting to restructure brain.
Yeah.
Which makes sense when you consider the connection between the stomach and the brain and the nerve stuff and like all these interesting, benefits. Well, one doctor suggested that she take it just to see if it would help with some of her inflammation and joint issues and blah, blah, blah. And evidently she had like she took it once and it was 3 days of the gnarliest of everything.
Oh man.
Like the worst of the worst, like where she was like, she couldn't even hold down electrolyte drinks.
Oh,
it was like she had 2 crackers and a cup of freaking broth, and that's all she could keep down.
Dude, that first week, it wasn't about keeping it down for me, but it was keeping it in,
that's for her.
Boy.
Like it was everything was like, and I'm like, that sounds horrible. Yeah. And then the funny part was then she talked about the mental health part of it, because there was a part of her that was like, well, maybe this would help with weight issues and blah blah blah. And then she's like, nope, never gonna do this. She's like, but then again, I haven't really eaten anything for 3 days. So
yeah, right.
It will help with my.
That's what I said, because
weight loss.
Since I've been on it, I've lost. The last time I stepped on a scale, I was 262. Before I started, I was 278. Okay, so that's a little bit of loss, and such, but it's not like drastic like a lot of people. But again, I'm on the lowest dose, so the lower the dose, the longer it takes. Plus, you have to make other changes. You're supposed to eat differently. You're supposed to exercise. I haven't done a lot of the exercising. I have changed how I eat and how much I eat, stuff like that. I've been trying to get better about shrinking my portions and making what I do eat count more.
Or it's more nutritious.
Right, exactly. Or, I read a nutritionist talking about how she said she doesn't tell her clients to stop eating something. What she does is go, well, if you want to eat something bad, it also has to have something good. That way, you ate that, but it's also got some fruit with it, kind of a thing, right? Mm-hmm. I can't give an example. I don't remember what she used, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So I've been looking more a little that way, to where it's like, try to eat less of ice cream and also put some berries on it, right? That way, at least you're getting some fruit along with what you're eating, or something to that effect. Okay. So, I'm not getting like massive weight loss out of it. Because again, my doctor didn't put me on it for weight loss. He put me on it for diabetes. You know, again, any weight loss was like cool, you know, because that's good for you, or probably okay for you too. But, you know, and I have noticed some difference, and it's cool. But I wondered that because I was like, I wonder how much weight I lost in that first week. Because I was the same way, dude. I don't know if you remember me talking. Like I had ordered a pizza. I ate 2 pieces of pizza, and I felt like I ate the whole pizza.
Yeah.
And I was like, you gotta be kidding me, dude. And like, I didn't eat again the rest of that night. There were days I went on, I ate like a 250, you know, like a lean cuisine kind of meal. It was like 250 or so calories. Yeah. That's all I ate for the whole day. And there was one time I did that and I split it into 2 because it was too much the first time. That's how full I was feeling that first week. And I'm like, oh God, I don't know that I want to live like this. You know, like I get it, but I'm like, God, I hope this gets better, you know? And it did for sure. But it's still the idea that it's not, it's one of those things that having done what I've done, and again, I'm on the lowest dose, is that anyone who says this is an easy way, it's not. Because like for me, at this point, I could probably eat as much as I could eat before I went on it. The difference is that my brain isn't necessarily like eat cookie, eat cookie, eat cookie, eat cookie, eat cookie. Right? You know, there's less of that. Now, again, I still get quite a bit because that voice was real strong before, you know, but it's lessened. And again, I'm actively trying to, like tonight, I bought a pack of cookies from the store. I ate 1, and that's what I had. Normally, I would have probably ate, you know, 3 or 4 of them. And I'm eating 1. And it's like, that's enough. I got the cookie taste. I got the chocolate I was looking for. That part of my brain that wanted that chocolate has been met. You know, anything past that is just, I don't even know. I don't want to say gluttony, but it's, you know, it's just, I'm eating it because it's there, you know, so it's gluttony, I guess. Yeah. But like I said, I know a few people that are on much higher doses, and seeing how little they can eat and different stuff like that. I'm like, this isn't as easy as people think it is. It's not like you just stick it in you and you lose this weight. Now, the reason that it looks that way is because a lot of Hollywood people are probably abusing the situation. There's, you know, a lot of people that people are seeing right now that, you know, have lost a lot of weight real fast, and they're probably on like the highest dose, and they're probably barely eating, you know? So they're probably losing a lot of weight because of the calorie deficit and the rest, you know. Because like me, that first week, if that's how I had to live, and I basically could eat 200 calories and I'd be full for hours, right? I feel like it'd be real easy for me to lose weight. But the dose I'm on, like I said, right now, I can still eat. If I like the other night, I got pizza. I ate 4 pieces of pizza. I could have probably eaten more, but I stopped there. You know what I mean? So it's like, whereas that first week, I could only eat 2 pieces. And I mean, I didn't eat the crust on it, and I barely got through the 2 pieces. And I was like, what is going on here? You know, because that's never been me ever. Crazy. You know, I love pizza. So, you know, that's why I said it's one of those things that anybody out there thinking it's the easy thing, like if you're thinking of going on one, not you, Penno, but anyone, if you're thinking of going on one, it's like it is not necessarily a pleasant experience, especially that first week. At first, for me anyway. Again, you know, your mileage may vary, but it's, you know, that first week I basically had to stay home. Because I honestly feel like I could have went for a colonoscopy at the end of the week, you know, if you catch the drift. There was nothing. So, but my doctor did say that apparently they're also finding that some of these GLP-1s have helped people with like IBS. That it's helped kind of reverse. And I bet, again, like you were saying, when it starts doing stuff to your brain, the brain-gut connection, you know, and like you said, and if it cuts down on inflammation, that's irritable bowel. It's literally an inflamed bowel, you know, kind of situation. Yep. So yeah, there's a lot of things, and people are finding a lot of successes for it, and it's like I'm thinking the next time I see my doctor, I may ask about going up a dose and just seeing what it's like, because I can always back off, because I would like to lose some more weight. And the problem is I never had the dang energy to exercise. I barely do anything and I'm just done. And I was thinking about it the other day, and I hadn't considered this, but it popped in my head because I was thinking about my mom and things that happened in, the months leading to her death. And I was thinking about how she was talking about how she was always tired. And she was kept pointing out how she felt that way after having COVID. And I was like, you know what? When I start looking back, now I had low testosterone before COVID. I was doing that, getting testosterone, what do you call it? Replacement therapy, before COVID. But I noticed that like there was still another dip in my energy after COVID. And I kind of wonder if there's something to where, I'm not saying I have long COVID, anything like that, but I kind of wonder if it altered something in me to where maybe my battery does not hit 100% anymore. Or my 100% is now what 85% was before, because I don't feel like it's like, oh, I feel older. I don't feel like that at all. I just feel like I'm just fatigued a lot, and again, I know weight has something to do with that. Tons of people, it's amazing how they start moving and all of a sudden they start feeling a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. But the problem is like, it's hard to get moving when you got nothing, So, so obviously my doctor would like me to move more, and my friends that are doctors would like me to move more because, they want me to live a nice, healthy life as well. But I don't know. It's an interesting scenario with that, And the other thing too is it is possible I could talk to my doctor about maybe switching medicine instead of using Ozempic. Maybe because Mounjaro was the one I was on first. I had no side effects with that for the 2 weeks I was on it. None. Like I tolerated that really well. My nephew's on I think Zepbound or something like that, and he had no side effects. And somebody else we know is on Ozempic, or my sister actually was on it, and she went off of it because the side effects were so brutal. She's like, I couldn't go to work. And I'm like, I know, right? I was like, I get it. You basically post up in your bathroom because that's where you're going to stay for the week. And, so anyway, but yeah, all exciting stuff. More poop talk. No, no, I mean, it is, I was thinking about when you asked me that, and I was like, I've talked about it a little bit, but I haven't necessarily gone into the ins and outs of it, because like mentally, the only real difference I notice is that, again, instead of hearing that, like, how it is, like you sit around and all of a sudden you go, ooh, I have a cookie in there, or ooh, I have ice cream. And then your brain is just like ice cream, and now I can quiet that back down. I can sit there and after a little while, I'll be distracted. Before, it was until I went and got that ice cream, all I could think about is that ice cream, which, is nice. I would still like to turn that dial just a little further down because I still give in too much. I need to keep forgetting that I have ice cream, Says the guy who bought Snickers ice cream bars earlier.
Love those.
I do too. And you know what I've been doing though is I've been cutting them in half and only having half of one. Then tomorrow I'll have half of one. Once in a while I'll still eat a full one, but I've tried to, like I said, I'm gonna just dial it back, get a taste, because I'm finding with a lot of sweets, if I get enough of a taste, that's enough. Like have a taste, wait. And by waiting, just like when your stomach tells your brain you're full, I think it's the same thing. I think the stomach's going, or brain, whatever's going, ooh, I got the ice cream.
Yeah.
And then, all right, now what? Whereas before it was like, yeah, but there's more, and you're like, listen, sensual voice in my head, stop. So, yeah, I don't know, but yeah. Other than that, I've like I said, I think I've been okay. Other than it's finally starting to get hot and humid here, which not a fan of that. But we've had some really nice days though. Like today, once the sun kind of about 5:30, when the sun's kind of dipping down a little bit. Oh man, it was gorgeous. It was a nice breeze, and it was it was a really nice day. But I know within a few days, I think we're supposed to be back up near 90, and it's sticky and all that. So, what are you gonna do? It's summer, so. But yeah, that's like I said. I think most things have been okay, and I've been just trying to survive, I guess. I don't know really what else. I found myself writing a lot more on Twitter, which for a long time would mean that I was going through a depression cycle. But it isn't necessarily now, because some of the people that I follow, I kind of get inspired by things they write. And I've really had some fun, like, responding to people with different things and kind of just having fun on there again. And like I told you last time, I was like, I've been keep trying to, like, tweak my algorithm further and further away from things I don't want in my life right now. So that's been going okay. So how about you?
Well, I have quite the story to tell.
Sorry, we're out of time. Catch you next week.
Yeah.
Credits. The Crazy Land Podcast was brought to you by... Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
It's I have a story that just reflects on this show and everything that we've ever talked about and my recovery, and it all worked, and I just want to share the story.
Awesome. All right.
Because it started terrible. And, it was bad. Like, it was really bad. I got into an argument with one of my coworkers he's been flying off the handle lately. Like, he's been getting the wrong size for the situation. And some of it's kind of amusing and fun, but other ones, like, yeah, you're kind of like turning into angry old man.
Yeah.
And kind of losing your cool. And he just flew off the handle with me, like, immediately, over lawn care. Because I questioned how they were seeding a lawn that had died.
Yeah.
Because the reason it was dead, because it was all my fault.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the sprinklers turned on in May in the mountains. It's like, you guys, come on.
Yeah.
Like, we're in the mountains. It's still 30 at night.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't care that it hasn't, we had, the snow was it was spring in February.
Oh, yeah. I remember you telling me that, because I was like, it's been the opposite here. It was like, it's really cold here. And meanwhile, you guys are still having spring over there.
We were very warm.
Spring. Yeah.
Like, all the snow melted. Like, the grass was dying, but I wasn't going to start watering all the lawns just because some areas weren't doing well, knowing fully well that it takes about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And it all comes back.
Yeah, right.
You just got to get to the right temperatures, And it's like, it's just the fact that it got warm quick. And so everyone was all, hey, let's get everything going. It's like, guys, it's still freaking May.
Yeah.
Like, we can have a freeze. And we did.
Yeah.
Like, none of my, wow, I'm having a complete brain fart, but my lilacs, all of the lilacs north of my town, like from my town north, ever bloomed, because they all started to bloom, and then we had a cold snap. So they all were like, nope, we're out.
Ours just bloomed a couple weeks ago, and it's such a shame, because they're Oh, wait. No, not lilacs. Yeah, the lilac bush, I think, is starting to bloom now. Or last week, something like that. The one that we have outside the house. So, and that's actually, probably a little late, but not by a lot here. Usually we warm up a little more in April and May, and then, like you were saying, we get like that fall spring quite a bit, and things start popping up.
Yeah, and that's what happened. We had a false warming, and then it got not super cold, but it got cold enough. Well, my bird bath had ice in it.
Yeah.
I'd put the bird bath out and it was frozen over 2 days in a row. So whatever was started to bloom, all those blooms just shriveled up.
Yeah.
And so this is what happened. And there was so much from our management that wasn't helping. They were pushing, and they were pushing the angry guy. And so it ramped up really fast, and we're in full view of everybody.
Mm.
And it was funny. I looked at my Fitbit later, and I'm like, man, my heart rate never really went up at all. Like, I just thought it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so I was just trying to reason with him.
Good meds, right?
And then, and then it became big FUs.
Yeah.
And angry ones. And like fingers pointed, screaming in my face.
Yeah. And
this was not the first time that this happened.
Yeah.
This happened once before, and it was hostile. And part of the deal was he was supposed to apologize to me, and he never did. And our previous general manager never followed up on it.
Yeah.
And so that was my first place that I could have walked away.
Yeah.
And diffused the whole thing. But you know what? Unfinished business is unfinished business.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the old, forgive and forget. It's like you may have forgiven, but you didn't forget.
I never had the opportunity to forgive.
Right. And you definitely didn't forget because it happened again and you remember.
Well,
yeah. So, yeah.
I've never forgotten the fact that there was an agreement made on an HR thing, and they didn't follow through.
Yeah.
So I'm not supposed to have justifiable resentments.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry, but if I got some dummy, because to me the whole thing was dumb.
Right.
I'm equally as dumb, yelling at me over grass seed.
Right.
In that manner.
Yeah.
I'm going to remind him that, this isn't the first time you've done this.
Yeah.
So I stepped up. I said it in a very calm voice. And as I was stepping back, I got a full elbow into my chest.
Oh.
Like a hockey player would do.
Right.
Because that's what Sean was as a hockey player.
Yeah, but that's for sure not okay. That's a different line.
Yeah, that's a very different line.
Yeah.
So now is opportunity 2 for me to walk away.
Yeah.
Well, as much as I don't like bullies, I really don't like people who resort to violence over things that, or you could just have a conversation.
Yeah, sure.
So I got right in his face and I just said, do it again. Yeah. And I mean, as calm as that. I didn't yell. I was like, do it again. You clearly need to.
Yeah. Yeah, clearly you got something that's bubbling you up like this. Whether it's work
and he was
or
pacing back
outside.
And forth.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah. So that was opportunity 2 that I could have walked away.
Yeah.
After I got hit.
Yeah.
So I turned to walk away, and his parting words were something about getting him written up. And I'm like, if I call anybody, it's going to be the police.
Yeah, because you assaulted me.
Because that was battery.
Or battery, sorry, yeah.
That was battery.
Yeah. Yep, sure is.
That's a misdemeanor.
Yep.
So then I called my general manager who was on vacation, which sucked.
Of course.
Yeah. And I was pretty fired up because here's the fact of the matter is Sean doesn't need to work for us. He's independently wealthy.
Yeah.
But he loves it.
Yeah.
He loves having something to do.
Okay.
And he's a flat out liability.
Yeah.
And proven now. And I was like, I first told them, I said, they have a choice because they can either handle this right or I can go to the police.
Yeah. Or even if you didn't go to the police, if anyone else finds out, this is a brewing hostile work environment at this point.
Yes.
You know, because there's going to be animosity between you two, and if others are going to pick up on it, right? It's like when mom and dad fight, the kids always know, you know, like it, and it's to be a similar thing.
Oh, and he loves to talk.
Right. So you see what I mean? So other people are going to, you know, like, hey, what happened? You know, kind of thing. So you've got a situation no matter what that needs to be handled one way or the other here. Yeah.
So and my GM was really great. He says, we have a choice. And I'm like, no, you're right. I need to correct that. He has a choice.
Yeah.
And I said, and so then I got off the phone with him, and then our board president came down to talk to me. And at that point, I mean, there was a part of me that, like, I was laughing because the whole thing's silly. Like, you just hit me over lawn care.
Yeah, right. Because it is. It's ridiculous. Also
scary.
Yes.
It's really ridiculous.
Yeah.
And in front of, like, there were people. I didn't know who the people were, but there were people. It was right out in front of the health club entrance.
Oh, wow. Like, so there were witnesses.
Oh, yeah. Oof. Oh, yeah. Oof. Oh, my other coworker was standing in between us.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And when the violence started, he actually was like, okay, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Mellow out, right?
Which good for him for Frank, not just like, I'm going to go the other way.
No, Frank is of the thing where it's like, you know, any given weekend, I might have my best friend in a headlock because he was a drunk jerk, you know?
Yeah.
And so to Frank, it's like two guys that have known each other for almost 2 decades, just working it out. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
And by the time the general manager came down, I was like I said, I was like, you know, oh, we're sending him home for the week. And I'm like, why? It's just work.
Yeah.
like he's got something he needs to say. If he needs to say it, he can come tomorrow and say it to me.
Yeah.
Because to me, in my mind, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Realizing that nobody has to do that. Most people don't do it.
Yeah.
And like we were talking earlier before we started podcasting, the cover-up is usually worse than the crime.
Yeah.
And most people want to cover up. They want to cover up immediately. And I don't. That's why when I see a lack of integrity in this world and people lawyering up and obfuscating and trying to cover up their tracks, I don't understand it, because that's the one thing that's worked for me in recovery is, how can I change my life for the better if I'm not willing to own my part in things?
Yes.
And I can't own my part in things if I'm not willing to be honest about it.
Yeah. And I'm with you. It's something that it took me a long time to really, and you know, therapy helped with that too, which is recognizing your part in things. And it's not about assessing blame. It's just what did you do in that scenario? And is that who you want to be? You know, is that what you want to be, you know, or do you want to work on your reaction to whatever? And it doesn't even have to be an argument, right? Like, it can be a situation, like the same kind of thought process can be put, like me having a phobia of being in cars, right? When there's a close call, like, you know, someone cuts us off or whatever, and I look back at it and it was like, I'm freaking out. Well, what did I do in that regard with the freak out? You know, did I do anything to try to calm myself down, or did I basically play into the freak out? You know, did I go through the fact that I've talked with therapists and they've told me to go through the essentially grounding concepts of, you know, or just the safe thing. It's like, am I safe? You know, am I in immediate danger? Those kind of things. Ask yourself those questions to bring you into this moment and go, oh, you know what? They cut us off, but we're okay. And then you can process forward, you know, versus if I just keep freaking out, it does nothing except feed the phobia, you know. So in those regards, it ends up working out the same way. You know, if you're in an argument, you keep feeding the argument, you know, it's not going to make anything better. And it's like, do you want to feed the argument in that point, or do you want to, like you said, try to de-escalate to let's resolve this, but we don't need to, like you said, we don't need to put hands on anybody. Words are bad enough sometimes.
There was, yeah. And there was, here's the thing. This is how I looked at it. If it hadn't gone to where it had gone, it would have kept going.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there would have been no consequences.
Right.
Because nothing bad really happened.
Yeah.
He's just a hothead.
Yeah.
And
boys will be boys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And at one point, there was a little blame the victim against me. And I was so close to saying, oh, I guess I shouldn't have worn that dress then.
Yeah, right? Because that's, yep.
And you get my meaning.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, well, you shouldn't have said it the way you said it. And I'm like, it's my freaking job.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to watch somebody do something that I know is not going to work.
Yeah. Well,
wasting
also,
time and money.
Again, you can track things back. It's like, hey, if someone walks up to you and starts yelling at you, or you question something and their reaction is to yell,
to yell.
What is your likely response? To yell back.
Something's wrong.
Right? Like most people are going to escalate. Yeah. It's.
Yeah. And I'm like, you both of you as managers had every opportunity to nip this stuff in the bud earlier. And I've been hearing it for weeks.
Yeah.
Like, you contributed to this. You set the environment.
Yeah.
So that was the part where I was like, no matter what happens, I'm glad it happened, because something needs to change.
Yep.
And conversations need to be had.
Yeah.
And at that point, like, I was looking at it as a comedy. I'm taking the horror movie and I'm turning it into a comedy.
Well, because it really is.
It's
like,
about,
from me listening to this,
it's freaking long.
It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd.
Yeah, it's absurd.
Yeah.
I get.
Now,
I get
granted, if I was in the same
lawn chair.
Yeah, exactly. If I was in the same position as you, I would have had a very similar reaction, though. Like, so it's like, as absurd as it is. Yeah, it's hard, especially once you put any sort of touch my person here. Now it's a whole different story.
It changed. You crossed the line.
Yeah.
You crossed the line at that point.
Yeah, I'll let you yell and call me a lot of things, but you put your hands on me, or elbow, whatever. That's, it changes the story.
And even then, it really didn't make me that mad.
Right.
It really didn't.
Yeah.
It was kind of pathetic.
Right.
It was really kind of sad.
Yeah.
So, by the end of the day, I'd had a couple conversations with some friends, and I was like, it was just silly. Get through the weekend, and I show up on Monday, and I had noticed that his desk was clear.
Yeah.
And like one of my other coworkers was like, he's not coming back. And now I said nothing. Like the rest of the day on Thursday, I just went back to work. I'm like, I told
you think about it from the standpoint of the manager, realistically, if this goes to HR, it's like, they got to talk to this dude and go, hey, you put hands on person. A lot of places have a zero tolerance, So even if he wasn't
HR attorney, if our HR attorney had heard it, she would have said fire him right now.
Yeah, because you can't okay that, because that sets them up for a lawsuit. Because they're okaying a hostile work environment. Yeah, Yeah.
And at this point, I'm like, you know what? Management's going to management.
Yeah.
But I will not allow anyone to victim blame me.
Right.
That's the one thing I said in my, where I drew a line. I will own my part in this.
Sure.
And that's where I ended up over the weekend. I really, honestly, I didn't dwell on it too much. I was more sad.
Yeah.
Just because we've known each other for 20 years.
Yeah, and we're fighting over seeding grass. That's what we're fighting over?
Right?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
That's right?
That's what you're losing your mind and hitting somebody about?
Yeah. I mean, really, know how it is, though. It's like, no, that's not the reason. There was something bigger than that. But at the same time, that was the straw. Yeah.
Yeah. And does he need to go to anger management?
Yeah.
Counseling? Probably.
Yeah,
and I think that's what makes this whole thing worse, is 2 other employees got fired for this exact reason.
Yeah.
And both of them had done things to him.
Yeah.
Like, he'd had it on his end where people used violence.
Yeah.
And it's like, then you go and do it?
Well, hurt people, right? That's how abuse rolls forward, Yeah. Yeah. It's unfortunate.
And again, it's lawn care.
Yeah.
Is it that big? Like I told the board president, I'm like, you know what? I actually have work to do and I'm going to go do it.
Yeah.
And I did. And I didn't go talking about it. The next day I ended up talking to our office, one of our office people, because it was just her and I and she's dating my coworker. And so, it's like she heard the story firsthand.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, look, this is my part of it. And part of the problem is he talks too much.
Yeah.
You can, like, do not trust him. And I mean that in just an honest way, which is if you say something to him, it may end up somewhere else.
Right.
And that was the first incident. I called him out on him just blabbing about stuff. And it's like, if I can't work with you and trust you to keep your mouth shut, I can't trust you.
Yeah, fair.
And he didn't like that the first time. So anyhow, Monday comes around, Tuesday comes around. I don't know what's going on. We had our interviews. My GM comes back on Monday. He does the interviews and we do the interview. And it was just like, we're just doing fact finding. And I was just 100% honest.
Yeah.
I told the exact story I told just now.
Yeah.
And I specifically mentioned the parts where I could have de-escalated this whole thing.
Right.
And I pointed them out and I said, this is the first place where I could have done this. And this is the first place where I could have walked away. But looking back on it, it would have just perpetuated the issue.
Yeah.
Nothing would have changed.
No. And it would have been another situation down the line. Because it wouldn't have solved anything. It's literally avoidance at that point, Yeah. Even though, it's still probably the right thing to do, walk away and then, hey, I think we need to have a sit down. Maybe the manager's involved just to, call things fair and foul, basically, type of deal. But, whatever, sure.
There would have been no consequences, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right? It would just be another argument.
Yes.
And I'm like, now there were serious consequences.
Right.
And for my part, I know I could have de-escalated, but I wasn't the aggressor.
Right.
Never was I the aggressor.
Right.
And I was confident in that.
Yeah.
Like I was just I was having a disagreement.
Yeah.
He was losing his mind.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy.
Yeah, it's very different.
So
yeah.
Yeah. And then I find out one of our new guests that's renting a place has their computer at a window and looked down and saw the whole thing. And he starts telling me the story about it the next day while I'm like, yeah, that was me. He's like, did that other guy get fired? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's
I'll
like
know on Monday. He's like, Nobody in any workplace survives that. Like 95%, like they'd be fired. I'm like, I said, honestly, I don't know.
Right.
It's not for me to decide.
Well, and like you said, if you really wanted him fired, you would have had him fired. Because all you would have had to do was, like you said, go talk to the HR.
I just would have called the police.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I know. I just would have called the police.
Yeah, right.
It would have been done.
Yep.
He would have been. They would have arrested him and charged him with a misdemeanor.
That's what I mean. Done. Yep. And you chose not to go down that road because you weren't, like you said, at a certain point it did click in your head, like how absurd this is. Like, I don't want to get a guy fired over, again, over seeding grass, like you keep coming back to that, it's like, this is not.
But I'm still like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Like, if this makes you this mad, maybe you shouldn't be here.
Right. And it does make you wonder, though, sometimes, because some people will be that mad at something else in hopes that this will distract me from whatever it is, instead of just facing what they need to face. Who knows? I mean, I hope. I don't know. So when you won't find out till what, next week, or already?
Well, so
oh yeah, that's right.
now we have the happy ending,
right?
And the part that I will be grateful.
Yeah.
It's hard not to feel a little bit proud, but my pride comes from gratitude. My pride comes from talking about how I want to be in my life on this show and with my men's groups and with my sober friends. And it has to do with picking a different path in life and just doing it different. So Thursday morning, I pull into the garage and there's this truck. nobody told me he was going to be there.
They should have, in fairness. Somebody should have, just in case. Because, again, you don't know what you'd be walking into at that point. Because, again, you have been hit by this person.
Right?
Yeah.
And they don't know what I might do.
Also that. Correct. There should be a warning to both. Like, the general manager or somebody should have reached out to both of you like, hey, there better not be any problems, you know?
It was extremely short-sighted.
Yes. Oh, man.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, they for sure should have notified you. Yeah.
Dumb.
Yeah.
And I told them that they were dumb.
Yeah. That's fair.
But I also told them it was the best thing that happened because I got out of my car, I was walking, and he came right around the corner.
Yeah.
And I didn't hesitate. I walked up to him and I gave him a hug.
Right.
Immediately. I should have asked for consent.
Yes, I was just going to say, so now you've put hands on him. Great,
Probably should ask for consent, but, right.
Yeah.
However, I couldn't think of anything else I'd rather do.
Yeah.
Than give him a hug, say that I missed him, because I did.
Yeah.
And be the first to say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he said, I'm sorry too. And he said, you've got some serious balls for doing this.
Yeah.
And I know what he meant.
Yeah.
That I had every reason not to. Like his look at first was fear.
Yeah. Yeah, because
he had fear
who knows,
in his eyes.
Like you said, who knows how you would react, you know?
And it wasn't fear from danger.
Yeah.
It wasn't that.
Yeah.
Like, he's a hockey player from Boston.
Yeah.
He doesn't fear a whole lot.
Yeah.
He would just keep getting up and getting up and getting up and getting up and getting up until the other person was just too tired to fight anymore.
Yeah.
Like, he's a tough guy.
Yeah. And I'm guessing there's a decent size difference in the two of you as well.
He's actually smaller than me.
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. All right.
But I still wouldn't mess with him.
Yeah. Oh, no. I'm
like, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Ever.
You
like,
just,
we used to joke about my former facilities manager was a huge guy, and they'd gone nose to nose many times. And he also had violence issues, major violence issues.
Yeah.
And I used to joke about which one of them would win in a fight.
Yeah.
And I knew I always knew that Sean would win because James would beat him down, but Sean would just keep getting up, no matter what. And eventually James would just get too freaking tired and give up.
Because he's too big of a guy. Yeah. You gas out quicker.
And Sean's a scrapper.
Yeah.
Like, hands down. He would never, ever back down.
Right.
Like, but he had this look in his eye of uncertainty. It was like he was not, and I diffused it like that.
Yeah.
And so his thing was, like he said, you have some balls. And I was just like, dude, we both have a set of balls. And we can choose to, if we got balls to do that, act like a couple of dummies.
Yeah.
We can also act good to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd much prefer guys show their balls that way, to where it's like, hey, let's settle this. Like, there's no, and I don't mean like, drop gloves. I mean, like, let's just, hug it out and apologize and like, hey, this isn't who either of us wants to be. And that's, I think, maybe part of it with you too, right? Is like, you knew that isn't who he wants to be. That's not really who he's trying to be in that moment. Like, something unfortunately was bothering him.
And I immediately texted the general manager because he wasn't there yet. And thanks for letting me know. The other and the board president, and I just told him exactly what happened.
Yeah,
and and we moved on.
Yeah,
like immediately. Like, there was no question.
Yeah,
I got right to work, and at one point, because he did need to instigate a certain conversation with me. Like, I know that was part of his deal. So he came into the office while I was having lunch to talk, and to be the one to now apologize.
Yeah.
And to and he also said something that I thought was important, and it was basically like, I can't do that again.
Yeah.
And I need, and please don't let me ever do that again.
Yeah.
He was asking me to help him.
Yeah. Well, think about it, right?
That
like
felt really good.
Because you had whatever thought in that moment, you didn't call the police. You don't. The next time that could be somebody else, and maybe they will call the police, and now you've got a charge on you, and you lose the. I mean, I know you said he's got money, but still, he loses something he enjoys, and again, that's not who he wants to be. You know,
he wants to keep working there.
Yeah.
He likes the place. Yeah, I mean, he wants to knock his hours down some more too. But why not? Who cares? You know, it's like he's so useful. He's been there since they built the place.
Oh wow!
You know,
jeez.
Right? Wow. I mean, he was on one of the construction crews.
Oh wow!
You know, so
yeah, he's literally a pillar of the place almost. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
And when I told him, I just said, I'm like, you know what, man? I've gotten into a lot of fights like that with my bandmates, and we all played music the next day or in an hour or the next week or whatever. And he's like, well, this is not band. This is like, I'm going to get fired if that happens again.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, but between you and me, and that's what I told him. I said, whatever happened this morning was about me and you, and it had nothing to do with employment. But I didn't even know you were going to be here.
Yeah.
There was no, how are we going to handle this strategy, with the freaking management? Because they completely neglected it.
Right.
And it was like, well, I'm glad you did, because it went purely on instinct.
Yeah.
And my instinct, I am just so grateful that my instinct was make it right. And it felt right. It felt 100% right. Nothing.
I'm glad.
Not 100% my feelings.
I'm glad he was receptive of it too. He wasn't like, get the hell off of me, or you know what I mean, or whatever, or still, combative with you.
Worse.
So
he wasn't. He saw it for what it was.
Yeah.
He didn't dismiss it. He didn't minimize it, and he didn't. He saw the gesture for. He saw the gesture for what he needed it to be. I don't know what that was, but I take it that it was important to him.
Yeah.
So you know what? It makes it even more right.
Yeah.
Like, it just, like, I keep going back to this, did I use right action in the middle of the conflict? No.
Yeah.
No. Otherwise, I would have walked away.
Right.
I would have laughed and just said, this is silly.
Yeah. Like, I'm not having this fight with you. Yeah. Like, this is silly. Yeah. Because
that would have been the right thing to do.
But man, we've all been in those fights, right? Like arguments, I should say, even, like where you'll argue with somebody and then at some point you're like, we're arguing over blank. What are we doing here?
It's just, right? It makes no sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it's just a bunch of posturing, you know? Because that's what it was. It was posturing. And in the end, like I told my GM, I said, I had unfinished business with him.
Yeah.
Right or wrong, I finished it.
Yeah.
And in a way that I wasn't the aggressor.
Yeah.
And it's done. And he has serious consequences. This cannot happen again.
Yeah. Yeah. He's lucky that, the consequences aren't worse. Really.
Yeah. And so the next thing that happened is we got our paperwork to sign from HR.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that I try to stress to all of my employees. And they're not mine, but
yeah, I know. Yeah. Do you know who I am? Yeah.
Right. But they're people that I can share my wisdom with, whatever. Is the cover-up's worse than the crime.
Yeah.
Don't lie about it.
Yeah.
Don't whataboutism. Just own it.
Yeah.
If you did something dumb, own it and move on.
Yeah.
If they are sitting down with you to have a talk about it and give you a piece of paper to sign, that means you still have a job.
Yeah.
So sign the paper and move on.
Yeah, because you wouldn't be getting that paper if they were firing you. You'd be getting a pink slip, basically, or, whatever. Yeah.
I say this all the time. Don't lie. Own it. Take whatever they give you and move on.
I found that a long time ago too. I had a DM that loved me for it. He'd call me, why didn't, hey, what happened with this? I'd be like, this is what happened. Here's how I'm fixing it. And he'd be like, all right. He's like, you still need the butt chewing, but, which means he's going to write me up, kind of thing. And he goes, but I like that you have a plan. I look forward to, the success of the plan and blah, blah, blah. And that was it. Boom, boom, done, right? Other people keep lying and blah. They're on the phone with this dude for half an hour. I'm on the phone with him for like 5 minutes. What happened? Why didn't this get done? I'd tell him, hey, I'm here today. I guarantee it'll be done by the end of the night. Okay, good enough.
Yep.
And if it wasn't, for sure got a butt chew and come in the next day. But I'd make sure it got done, So, like you said, just own it and move on.
Yep. So he got put into one room. I got put into the other room. In our boardroom, and I was handed like, "Oh, here's a corrected transcript of it if you want to read it." And he's like, "Do you want a copy of this?" I said, "No, I don't want this in an email. I don't want this anywhere where anybody can see except in my file.
Yeah.
If I need to look at this, I'll put it. Like, oh, if you need this for your own, no, I don't.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
I know what happened. Do you want to review it? No, I trust that you wrote down what I said.
Yeah.
In summary. Okay, here's the disciplinary, here's the HR part. 4 pages of, I'm sure, something that came right off of freaking ChatGPT.
Yeah, probably.
I wasn't going to read it. It was just going to irritate me.
Yeah.
So I went straight to the consequences part. There were 4 bullet points. There were 4 paragraphs. And I quickly scanned it because they could have all been stuff like with anything with ChatGPT.
True.
This whole thing could have summed up with any act of unprofessional behavior.
Yeah.
Right? That's all you had to say.
Yeah, that's true.
Act professionally.
Right.
I mean, it went into honest details of it covered all the bases.
Of course.
I looked at it. I'm like, yep, be professional. Sign, date. Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
And guess what? We were back in harmony.
Yeah.
We were all working again.
Yeah.
It's just a job.
Yeah.
It pays my bills.
Yeah.
And it felt so good. It just felt so good to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And huge win for the week, and just filled me with gratitude, and I wasn't dwelling on it. And did I have a justified resentment there for a blip?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. And it was done.
Yeah.
And then it was all back on me. Then it was back on me. Okay. What could I have done differently? What will I do differently? How will I approach this?
See, that's what's funny to me is all those questions you just asked right there. It feels like HR should have asked you all those questions.
We never got to that point.
Yeah. I'm just surprised they didn't. I figured that would be like part of a worksheet, that would come out of a binder.
Well, we don't have HR.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that. Okay.
We have two guys that have done, HR training seminar at some, whatever.
Okay.
4 days in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they email back and forth with an HR attorney about it. They get
the legalities.
They get sent the freaking. Yeah. You get the, hey, HR monthly, newsletter. This is what's new in the world of HR, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it's all AI stuff, which I'm just, I'm just so over with in our workplace.
Yeah.
Because it's so blatantly obvious now. It's you're not even thinking anymore.
Right.
At least he admitted it when he said, okay, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions that I got off of ChatGPT. And I'm like, okay, at least you owned up to it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to get our HR attorney involved because somebody would have been fired.
Yes. Which is understandable.
And it wasn't going to be me.
It's like they don't want to escalate it to that. And if you were okay with that, realistically, then it's fine.
Yep.
Yeah. If you had pushed, that's another story. But
Yep. And here's the other thing. A lot of people will say, well, what's going to happen to him?
Yeah.
And the answer is that's between him and management.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
I don't get to know
Yeah.
what arrangements get made.
Right.
That's not, they don't have to tell me
they
that.
don't. You're right. And that is
And
something that bothers people a lot. I went through that a lot.
It bothers people so much. Well, what's going to happen to him? What's going to happen to him?
None of your
it's
business.
None of your damn business.
Yep.
And so I never asked. And that's why I told Sean right away. I said, what, me and you, that's between us. Like, we have us, and then there's management.
Yep.
And I don't care about that part of it.
Yeah.
Management's going to management.
Yeah.
But you and I can take this back to where it's supposed to be.
Right.
Which is two dudes that have known each other for so long.
Right.
We both love music. We love, the activities that were there for mountain biking, skiing, snowboarding, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, he and I would go snowboarding all the time together.
Yeah.
It's like, he's one of those people that loves to call everybody he works with a friend. And I always tell him, we're not friends, we're coworkers.
Yeah.
That relationship never changes. I don't care how much we get along with each other.
Well,
we are always coworkers, which is why these people shouldn't be dating right now.
Right.
Because no matter what, they are coworkers.
Yeah. I always felt that, especially even if like outside of here, you consider us friends, whatever. But once we hit that door and we're punched in, we're coworkers. And that can't.
But it doesn't matter.
No.
You're coworkers even when you go out to the bar.
I know.
Later.
I know. I'm just. It's like it's one of those things. I used to warn Jen about that. That I was like, always remember, they're your coworkers, not your friends. Even if you were friendly with them. Yeah.
Yep.
And
that relationship never changes.
And she found out because she had quite a few of those air quote friends betray her because they were trying to move up. And the way you move up in some companies is by stepping on someone else's head, and she got her head stepped on. And I'm not saying it's not an I was right situation here at all. It was just that it's something I learned a long time ago because I saw those things like you did, or you just said with like, you shouldn't be dating because you are coworkers. These lines should not cross really, and that's why it was like, because I had people that were, friendly with me and try to abuse that in the workplace. And I'm like, no, once we walk in that door, I'm your boss. Like, I can't behave any differently because if I treat you like a friend in here, we're both going to get fired. Like that's not how this works. We can't have this. You have to respect the fact that I have authority here. And it was like, I'm not going to treat you like a boss when I walk out of the store. I'm not going to try to boss you around and tell you what to do in your life. But in here, if I tell you to do something, it doesn't matter if you're friendly with me or not. Go do what I told you because I'm in charge. But it's like I hated blurring those lines, but at the same time, the one place I worked, it's like we all went out and hung out on the weekends and, we were, and still a lot of them are still friends, but I shouldn't have been.
Of course.
But
it's the thing is, to me, it's about awareness. And like, I learned this through sexual harassment training. That's where I learned that.
Yeah.
And it was very clear.
Yeah.
No matter what, you guys are coworkers.
Yes.
That never changes.
Right. Unless you're not all of a sudden, then fine. But as long as you're coworkers,
it's no different than my dad's always going to be my mom's always my mom. I'm her son.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't mind when people say, oh yeah, my mom's my best friend or whatever.
Yeah.
I get that. I get that. But the bottom line is she's not. She's your mother.
Yes.
Always.
Right.
And she's always going to be your mother.
Yeah, that's a constant.
And I've said that to my friend Dave when he gets frustrated with his son. I'm like, Dave, Josh is always your son.
Yeah.
I know you feel like you should tough love him and whatever it is. He's your son. Love him as your son.
Right.
That will never change. Oh, we're buddies now. We go out and drink beers together and talk. No, he's your son.
Yeah, exactly.
Always.
Yeah.
And I just like, there's certain things which I'm like, it's just perspective.
Yeah.
That's all it is to me.
Yeah.
And it's just remember that we are always coworkers no matter what. So whatever we do in our personal lives together, we're still coworkers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's that you have to be mindful of that.
Yeah.
And, and like I said, I don't mind that, how could I spend more time with my coworkers than I do
Right.
with anybody else
Yeah.
in my entire life?
Right.
We all do.
Mm-hmm.
So how could you not end up being friends?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
However,
You still have to remember that, like you said, your coworkers first.
Yeah.
Like no matter what. And that's why I said that. It was like, to me, it was like, especially at
Until
work,
you're
you
not.
have to remind yourself you are coworkers,
Yeah.
or you are a subordinate, even though, like, I'm not trying to greater than, less than you, but it's like, if I'm a boss, you have to respect me.
If your
here.
supervisor is a supervisor,
Yeah.
and then you have a different. Then
know.
I honestly do think you have a different standard.
Yeah.
That's where I think the military has it right. Like
Yeah.
officers don't fraternize
Right.
with enlisted.
Yeah.
You know, like
And I found out
that
why.
was a practical decision.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I found out why. Like I said, I literally various times I had friends that were trying to abuse the fact that we were friends and I'm like, no, you still screwed up. Like, my job is to write you up. Like, if I don't do that, I could get in trouble. And if I get in trouble, I could lose my job at some point. So, like, you don't get to screw around just because we're friends. That's not how this works. Like, you still have to do work and whatever. So, yeah, that's why I said I learned the difference. And I agree with that. I shouldn't have been doing it. But the other problem was I was a grunt with all of these other people. Then I got elevated or promoted, to another. And then now it's a problem, right? Like, there's TV shows that'll show that. Like I remember on George Lopez's show, it's like that. He's one of the guys, and now all of a sudden, you're one of the bougie office people. Like, that's why on Salty Language, I give Tony crap about it. Because, he was the guy that worked on the floor, and now he's in an office. And I'm like, ooh, you fancy now. And you're not one of the guys anymore. You're the enemy now because you're in the office, just screwing around. But there is some truth to it that you probably should be a different person now. Because he's not in an authoritative position, I don't think. But still, it's different. You're supposed to hang out with the office people now.
Yeah. Well, you are in a position where you can retaliate against somebody.
Yes, that's the difference.
You have the authority to do so.
Yeah. And that was the thing,
difference.
right?
You can retaliate.
When I had a person abuse the fact that we were friends, that was my first, I had to step back. I did the right thing in that regard, which was call my district and be like, how should I handle this? Because we are friends, because of this. And he goes, well, the rules are this, so you got to this, and this, And he goes, that. And he goes, but don't let yourself get caught up in emotionally the other way to where you're over punishing for the situation, And I was like, that's why I called you. Because that's why I wanted to know how to handle it. Because I'm afraid that I might not be, vengeful, but just be like, okay, I'm going to teach you a lesson. I'm going to put my foot way up your hiney, and you're going to remember, don't cross me. And I was like, and I knew that was not the right reaction, so I called him and he gave me, and I was like, okay, that's a couple steps lower than I was going to do. So, like, all right, I'm glad I called you. Because, that wasn't my goal either. I still want to behave. Again, I want to be the right size. And apparently I was being way too small for the situation.
Yeah. I keep going back to the what I've been coming back to over the last few days is, am I on the beam or off the beam? Clearly I'm on the beam if I reacted this way.
Right.
It's like I'm doing something right in my life when my natural instinct is to, you can call it, I don't say like, I was the bigger man. No, it wasn't. I was just, I don't want to have any sort of reference to big, small, little, whatever. I was a human being. That's how I looked at it. And I came into it with love.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is, was I the right size? I feel okay with it.
Yeah.
Did I push some boundaries in the conflict? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But I never felt like I was oversized. And I chose patience, and I chose compassion, and I chose, a little bit of understanding, and that is just a reflection of everything I've been taught all these years in recovery working.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy to, it's easy to talk. It's something else to walk.
It is.
You got to walk the walk. And I go, that's one of the reasons I don't feel bad about I don't go to meetings anymore.
Yeah.
And I know that my experiences could help others, but after a while, it's like, y'all just talk.
Yeah.
The real work happens out there.
And we've talked about that on here.
Yeah.
That any self-help, that's the danger. You can read every self-help book at a bookstore or on Amazon. That doesn't mean you're healed. You can go to therapy for 20 years and not have healed. And it's not the therapist's fault. It's that you're not doing the work, or, it's easy to walk back in there and, I did this and this. And, the therapist can only take you at your word unless you have tangible proof. Like, hey, here's a video of me behaving this way. Like, all they can do is take you at your word. So, and like your doctor, if you go in and, hey, do you do this, this, and this? Nope. All they can do is take you at your word unless there's a physical test. Like, hey, actually, we see that you're smoking the marijuana's here. It's right here in this test, or whatever. But, I had somebody ask me the other day about, I forgot what it was. There was something in therapy that their therapist mentioned, and they were like, this kind of sounds ridiculous. And I'm like, it does. And I'm like, but it really helped me. I can't remember what it is now. Dang it. And I was like, a lot of things in therapy. I said, what I have found is that many things that really seem to help make you feel really weird in the moment, right? Like standing in front of the mirror saying, I'm plenty. Like, I'm good enough as I am. I am this. I am complete. I am whole. I am not broken, right? Doing those kind of things. It sounds so ridiculous. Eventually, if you do it enough, though, you'll start buying in at some point. Might take you forever, but at some point, you'll start buying in. But boy, do you feel like you feel goofy doing it in the moment. Because you really, especially if you're our age, because you think back to Stuart Smalley and the I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me,
like me. Yeah.
But there's a reason that started, and that comes from actual therapy, Or I've talked about doing what are they called? Power poses before you enter a room, right?
Oh God.
Where you do something that just makes you feel like, if you're a pro wrestler, whatever their entrance is, right? It's that concept.
Yeah.
And before you enter a thing, well, even if it's take a deep breath and just kind of whatever, flex a little bit or something like that. It's amazing how much that actually pumps you up a little bit, I've heard wrestlers talk about it, that's part of why a lot of them, aside from getting a little bit of a pump to look good on camera, that's why some of them will hit some push-ups before they do an interview or before they walk out to the ring, because that amps them up a little bit, it gets them going. And, so there's all these things like that just, like I said, they're on the surface, they're ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, if you walked and just saw somebody doing these things, you're just like, what are you doing? But, sometimes you just need to do those things to pump yourself up a little bit. And again, like you said, though, it's like if you're not doing the work, you're just talking. And I think that's why there's a lot of people who are like, I've been going to therapy for blah, 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 and I don't feel any better. And it's like, are you doing the work? Are you stopping in scenarios and changing your behaviors? Are you reframing? Are you, working on your distorted thinking? You know what I mean? Like, are you doing these things? Because if you're not, like you said, you're just talking. You're not walking the walk, Are
you doing anything different?
Yeah, right.
Okay, if it didn't work, what are you going to do different?
Yeah.
Are you making the changes? Are you, those are the questions.
Yeah.
And if not, what's your motive?
Yeah.
What is your motive?
Yeah. Why?
What are you getting out of it?
Yeah. Exactly. And I've said that on here.
And do you have an answer?
I've said it on here a few times where I'm like, I need to change how I'm approaching my therapy. Because remember, at one point I mentioned that I'm like, I feel like I just go in and talk, but I don't feel like I'm really doing anything. And then, so, and I told my therapist that, and so we dug into that a little bit. Like, okay, like you were saying, well, why don't you do this stuff? Like, you've learned it, it, you catch yourself in the moment. So why do you pump the brakes right there? Like, you've got all the tools, but now you don't, you're just like, I just went to Home Depot and bought a bunch of tools. I don't think I'm going to actually assemble this grill tonight, Like, it's like, why did you stop? Like, let's talk about that. Is there an issue there? Is there something holding you back? Or, so that's why I said it's, you can't expect to go into therapy or anything else and just poof and you're better. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. You can have aha moments in therapy with the therapist not saying a word. I've done that plenty of times. Or they nudge you a little bit. And that's where I think they're at their best, is they just kind of, they're the bumpers for your bowling ball sometimes, and you kind of bump off and then you're like, oh, now I see what's going on here, or they just ask that one question sometimes. But yeah, cause I know a few people right now that I've talked to, and they tell me about their therapy, and I'm like, they're not doing the work. Like, they're not open to the ideas, and they're not open to the change. And if you're not, then you're really wasting everyone's time. And I don't mean that to be judgmental, but it's the truth. Would you go to rehab if you're not ready to admit you have a problem? It's kind of what you're doing, You walk in and, hey, I have a problem. And they're like, cool, here's some things you can do to help. Like it's it's like, okay, well, this isn't going to work out real well here. We need you to do a little.
I just, at least I come back to, it's like, hopefully the miracle happens,
Yeah.
Like, don't quit until the miracle happens, okay, you haven't found it yet. Clear. I mean, I've been involved enough that I smell out my own kind.
Yeah.
Is the bottom line.
Yeah. You've heard me even mention where I'm like, that person is me 5 years ago. I've pointed that out a few times. Yeah.
Yep.
And I can see it.
But I always follow it. Yep. I can see it, but I follow it up with, but I hope they keep trying.
Yeah. Because a lot of times I'm like,
I hope they keep trying.
But they're not at the point where they're going to ask for help yet. I talked with somebody the other night that's what it was, because they were immediately kind of down on therapy and down on antidepressants and all that. And I was like, I can understand it. We can all have our reasons. I was the same way. Like, if Jen were here, you could really ask her about, because she mentioned it to me, and I just was absolutely against it. I can do it. I can fix it. I'm logical. I'll fix it. And boy, was I not being logical, and boy, could I not fix it on my own. Like, I needed help. And I'm not saying I'm fixed now, but I'm a whole lot better off than I was when we started this podcast. Yeah, and before, before Salty Language even, when I first finally dove in. But yeah, because I had a friend reach out to me a couple weeks ago and ask me, because somebody in their life is at the point that they're similar in how I was, to where they're a creative person and they feel that they're witty and they're afraid they're going to lose all that. And I was like, yeah, you got to find that reason on your own. I said, nobody can put that in your head. I said, sometimes it works, right? Like me, for those who don't know, I used to read an online comic called Penny Arcade. And it has to do, I think it's still being published, but it has to do with like gaming and collectible worlds and stuff, kind of, geek stuff. And the guy who drew it posted a long thing on there about how his girlfriend wanted to go to France, and he wanted to propose to her in France, but he was terrified to fly. Like, his anxiety was just through the roof, and he had depression and all this. And then he finally went in, he was like, I love her more than I hate this. And that was his reason. So he went in and got help and got on a medicine. And he goes, for anyone who, feels like you might lose your creativity, you might blah, blah, blah. He's like, I actually feel like it's really helped me because it helped clear my head and all this, right? And again, mileage may vary per person. You could have the same exact situation, maybe it doesn't work, but it's the fact that he did that. And then I was like, okay, here's a guy who literally draws for his living. And he's like, hey, I'm still the same guy. I still get all the cool ideas. I still draw. And I'm like, okay. Then I started seeing other creatives talking about it as well, a little more by getting on Reddit and stuff. And then I was like, okay, some of the things I was afraid of, I'm actually finding that people have had great success in. That's why it's important for people in celebrities and creative types, like Lady Gaga has done a lot for talking about mental health and stuff. It's so important for that because people who feel they're a musician and, well, I don't want to lose my creativity, because that's literally your bread and butter. That's your thing. That's your life force to creative people. I don't want to lose that. And to find out that, if you're on the right path, you got to find the right medicine, the right therapist. It can be a slog, but once you do that stuff, you actually find that you're actually happier or doing better, at least. Because now, like that guy said, he's finding that it actually kind of cleared his head up a little bit, whereas that anxiety was in there all the time. So, and having said this stuff, I kind of want to move toward the second part of things here real quick, which is that this is men's, I don't know if it's a men's mental health month or if it's just men's health month, because according to NAMI, it's men's health month. So it's not just about mental health. And that's probably because there's a lot of, around Father's Day, there's a lot of prostate cancer awareness and stuff as well. So, I know Major League Baseball, I mean, today they probably, because today's Father's Day, isn't it? I don't remember, but anyway. But, Major League Baseball does a thing where, a lot of the guys use blue bats, and then they auction it off. A lot of them auction off, or they wear, blue wristbands and all sorts of stuff. And, because it's the color of prostate cancer. Oh, wait, is it prostate cancer? Maybe it's colon cancer. I don't remember. Shoot, I'm so not prepared for this. Anyway. But whatever. The idea is that, we all know across the board, men are way less likely to go talk to a therapist. They're way less likely to even talk to their friends about this stuff, which is why, part of the reason me and Heno keep doing this podcast is we're manly men in, tight tights, but we're pushing through that toxicity that a lot of people from our generation were brought up with, that men, we're only supposed to feel angry and horny, basically, and that's it. We only cry when old Yeller died. Sorry, spoiler alert. Stuff like that. And that's all garbage. It's all trash. If you feel like crying, cry. Let out the emotions when you need to, because bottling them up is so much worse for you. Stress, releases, oh shoot, I can't think of the chemical now. Cortisol.
Endorphins.
Yeah.
Cortisol.
Yeah, cortisol, which is really bad for...
throw stuff out.
You're just, repeating. Yeah. But anyways, stress is one of the worst things for us. Not just men, but anybody. And, the more we hold in, the more we stress. Next thing you know, you're throwing an elbow at a coworker or whatever it is that you may not want to do. Or you're just yelling at people. You're just, you're the unpleasant guy at work. You're the guy that your friends don't want to hang out with anymore and all this. And, but talk to your friends about this. And seriously, I know this sounds so trite. It sounds like something, a person's mom would say to them. But it's like, if they don't want to hear about your problems, they're not really your friends. Now there is something about being negative all the time, but generally, if your friends are not with you for the ups and downs, they're not, listen, I only have room for ride or die friends, I'm too old for these bandwagon friends, you know, we're done with those. That was 20s. No, but it's really such a thing that it's helped me immensely to talk about this. I've had so many people that are like, I can't believe you're so open about stuff. I'm like, why? Well, it's embarrassing. It's not. It's not anymore. What was embarrassing to me is seeing myself as a person of logic and then finally realizing that I was nowhere near logic with my behaviors. I was way off in goofy land, just, you know, distorted thinking, you know, my butt off left and right. So, you know, please talk with your friends, talk with a therapist, talk with whoever you need to. If you grieve, find a grievance counselor if you need to. You know, that was a massive mistake I made when my dad died, was I'll be all right. I'll push through. I'll whatever. And again, you know, this will be 21 years. And, you know, for the better part of that time, I mean, I don't even know if now I'm still dealt with all the grief of it. I think there's still probably some stuff bottled up that that it's in the back corner of the basement behind the old paint cans, and you know, like that I haven't dug into, you know, and I may never dig into, but at least I've since then I've dug into a lot of it, you know, and really, it's really helped. Like today, actually, this is the first year where I haven't thought about Father's Day in any sort of a negative light. Like it hasn't even clicked in my head for the most part, you know, and again, you know, 21 years later, it's, you know, not a fast process sometimes. So, you know, like I said, talk to your friends, find good friends that you can talk to if you can. And, you know, even when it's everybody goes out for a beer, you know, even if it's just like for a little bit, and then you just go back into, you know, me and Tony were that way, you know, my best friend is that for years it was, when we got together, no matter what was going on in our life, it was keep it light, jokes. You know, that's how because, you know, that's who we are. We joke through rough stuff together, and we always have. But as we've gotten older, it's like, yeah, actually, hey, buddy, are you doing okay? Like, let's, you know, like, we've both said and done some things over the last few years that have been concerning to the other one, you know, like when I'm like, hey, I'm having suicidal thoughts again. He's like, whoa, you know, like, you know, we should talk about this. And, you know, like we still need to have him on here to talk about where he was last year with the stress level of work and stuff. So, you know, as men, especially women too, you know, I don't want to discount anybody here, but it's like, please, I implore you to please seek help. I know it's tough sometimes. It's hard to find, you know, you got to wait 6 months sometimes to get into a therapist and whatever. I get it. You know, a lot of them are so overbooked. There's just not enough people doing that work. But please, you know, please check your friends. Please, you know, just and you know how it is, right? Like you've known somebody long enough, and you're like, "How you doing?" And they're, "Oh, I'm fine." Like, don't give me that. How are you doing? You know, like really, how are you? Because we all know sometimes, like I said, especially your friends you've known long enough. It's like, listen, you're not acting the same. Like something's off. Right? So, you know, use those things and, you know, but also, you know, also back off if they very much are like, you know, leave me alone. Like, you know, like there is an element of that too, because they've got to want to have help and stuff too. So, you know, whatever. But yeah, just like I said, be kind to your buddies, try to help out here. And just encourage them, let them know for sure that, hey, I'm a safe space. You can talk to me about whatever. It's going to stay here, you know? And that's a huge draw of therapy for anyone who hasn't gone. There's something about sitting in that room with somebody who doesn't know you outside of what you're talking about, and it all stays right there, well, in your file, you know? But it's like, it doesn't, there's no judgment. It doesn't come out with you and follow you around. It's very cathartic for me anyway. And again, like I've said before, when it stops being cathartic, I feel like I'm done, or I need to reapproach my strategy, you know? So, and by done, I don't mean healed. I just mean done. Like I need to find another therapist or a new strategy for how I'm doing things. So yeah. So you want to add anything to any of that?
Nope. Nailed it.
All right. Good enough.
Blue ribbons.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just looking at... Sorry, I was just reading something on NAMI. But yeah, if you need any help with some of that stuff, NAMI's got a lot of great tools and resources. There's also a lot of good resources for things that can help with, like, whatever it is you're feeling. If you type it into the internet, there's probably someone on NAMI or Tiny Buddha or those kind of sites that have written something, or what's that one? Medium, where they've written something about going through something similar. So, and Medium, unfortunately, I think you only get like so many like free reads, but there's a lot of free stuff out there that can really help. Or again, if you contact NAMI, they can maybe point you toward, hey, here's some things that may help you out and whatever. So yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's a show.
Yeah, appreciate having the opportunity to share my story.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, so if you want to talk to us anymore, you can find us on Twitter at The Crazy Life Pod, where I post when new episodes go up. We're part of... nope. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/crazylife. The Crazy Life? Nope. Facebook.com/group/Crazy Life Podcast. There we go. I had to get the cadence right in my head. It just didn't sound right. So, yeah. If they want to reach out to you, Henno, how can they reach you?
You can find me on the Instagrams and the Facebooks and all those places, either under Ida Henno or Just Slimo, and messengers. And I'm pretty much roaming around somewhere.
Yeah.
Currently posting lots of photos of the dogs and wildflowers. So.
Yeah, fair.
Which is pretty much all I do. So
yeah,
I can go with that.
I mean, that doesn't sound terrible, though, right? I mean, that sounds pretty good.
It's really not.
Sounds good. Yeah.
And then reposting silly, goofy things I see, which are usually French bulldogs.
Right.
Doing silly stuff.
Yeah, which there's an amazing amounts of. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I see
so many.
I see so many more videos of French bulldogs doing silly stuff than I probably do any other breed of dog, aside from, mutt, kind of thing. So, yeah, just their behaviors kill me. But
Frenchies.
Yeah, they're silly geese, that's for sure. Yep. Yeah, you can find my other podcasts at saltylanguage.com or at salty_language on Twitter. And that show's not safe for work. That's me and my best friend just talking about whatever. Oddly enough, I've noticed, over the last year or so, there's been like almost every week there's like a little Crazy Life snippet that pops in the show. Like I said, as him and I have kind of evolved our friendship to where really it should have been years ago. We just were like, no, we're manly men. We got to laugh, So now we're like, that was stupid. We shouldn't have been doing that all these years. Anyways, we talk about what we were watching last week. Talked about Magic the Gathering for a little bit, the new Wolverine game that I'm all sorts of excited about. Hot dogs. We talk about, the Sony State of Play, where they showed a bunch of new games coming out and stuff. So if you're into any of that stuff, please give us a listen. If you want to go all the way to the beginning, there's only 743 of them to listen to, so you just breeze right through that. Only. Yeah. So, yeah, and we'd appreciate it.
People have done it. People have.
It's a heroic effort. A heroic effort. Yeah, I can't even imagine why.
Cheeto.
Yeah. Yeah.
Glutton for punishment.
Yeah, he is. It's for sure. Please check that out. If you want to find me on a variety of social media like Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Twitter. Is that all of them? That's most of them. At Stunami. Twitter is the one I post on. The others I don't really post on very much. So, especially Threads. I've gotten to where I don't post on there much. So... And the reason is I like posting just stupid thoughts, like things that come into my head that I want to write. And I hate that on Instagram, some of my family follows me, and on Threads, some of my family follows me. It's like, dang it! So Twitter's still, as far as I know, Twitter's still the one where there's only like 1 or 2 of my family members that follow me, and they already know. Those are the ones like my nephew who are here. He knows I'm weird, so it's fine. But I just like having one where I like some anonymity to it. You know what I mean? Like in that I just like feeling like I can just go be stupid, and I don't say anything like harmful or anything, but I just just sometimes the depression stuff I think was the main reason. It's like as much as I want to include them in the knowledge of those things, I also don't want them to think I'm making light of my depression, because I am, but I'm also not, So, because I want people to laugh at my stuff, but I also kind of want them to go, "Aw." Poor little guy. Anywho,
poor little guy.
Like we said, a little bit ago, please reach out to your friends. If you need help, please reach out. It's amazing how many people will want to help people, that really do want to help people. Like I said, I still see people from time to time on Twitter or something that they'll post like that they're doing real bad, and I'll reach out to them like, "Hey, we don't know each other, but if you need a person, I'm here." And it's weird how I've cultivated friendships off of a few of those, and to where just because I cared, somebody was like, "Wow, this is actually kind of nice that." And it's like, you don't have to tell me the backstory. You don't have to tell me anything. We can just sit and talk about ice cream if you want, if that distracts you from bad thoughts in your head, So, and I put that out there for anybody else. Feel free to contact me on social media if you're having a rough go. Again, I'm not a doctor, therapist, trained professional, but, I can talk and I can listen.
And listen,
yeah. So, all right. And the last thing, of course, is be kind. Oh no, I take that back. I got one thing after that. But please be kind to each other, which leads into my last thing, which is happy Pride to all of our friends and such that celebrate out there. I hope you all feel in a comfortable place to celebrate, your life and who you are. And I hate that some of you don't and can't, So
yep.
Yeah. So yeah. Happy Pride from the Crazy Life Podcast, and we will talk to
Absolutely.
you. And then, Henno, you got anything to take us out with?
I'm gonna give you my favorite fortune cookie that is almost done.
Oh, okay.
One cannot do everything at once. Okay? One cannot do everything at once, but one can do something at once.
I like that.